We are live. This is the market update. This is probably the most fundamentally bullish day in a stealth kind of way that I have seen in a long time. Frequently on these unemployment numbers, Fed releases, etc., the first trade is always wrong. Like sometimes they go in the wrong direction. Sometimes they just don't get it. It's like a muted reaction. So today on the jobs number, which of course we'll talk about, Bitcoin and crypto go up, expecting rate cuts, and then goes back down again after Bitcoin can't get through 113. And let me give it to you very simply. So what? So what that it failed at resistance? Because there are things going on here that remind me of something that you probably haven't seen. It's called Rocky IV. In the story of Rocky IV, Rocky Balboa fights this like superhuman boxer played by Dolph Lundgren. The name of the character was Ivan Drago. And, you know, he's pretty much an invincible guy. He really hurt one of Rocky's close friends, to say the least. And the movie is essentially training montages, and you don't get a lot of acting, except for a scene in the big fight in Moscow where Rocky hits Ivan Drago, the invincible fighter, and cuts him over the eye. You know, and Drago really looks taken aback, and Rocky's corner's like, you know, you hurt him. Right? The mighty then fell. Bitcoin has done the same thing to the legacy system. So has Ethereum. So has XRP. So has every other AI coin, and I can prove it. It's a very simple headline. The system is afraid of Bitcoin. The system, Ivan Drago, just got cut by Rocky Balboa, right? And even though that movie had only a little bit of acting in it, this market update's going to have plenty of acting. Because when I go through all this, you're going to turn around and look at your screen and be like, wow, do I have enough crypto? How's that for a preview to the show? This is the market update. I want you to subscribe to this channel. Also, we have the YouTube member podcast with the best analyst in crypto, Toby Ward, coming up tomorrow. That's early in the morning for our European friends and our American friends, of course. We want to catch everybody. And there is 5 coins for rate cuts that just came out in Patreon Platinum. Quite possibly the most elegant, simple thing that the Gann model has ever spit out. It's also available. The link to it is on my Twitter. Patreon has a new thing where you can read the intro and decide whether or not you want to subscribe. The top coin, the market cap is like 1,100. And I looked at it and I was like, and it makes perfect sense, right? Because back in the day when the Fed was going to cut rates, what were the first stocks that you bought? Banks, broker-dealers, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley. Straight out of the old playbook. The Gann models read my mind. So if you don't think you need to listen to this, I would reconsider, because there's information in here. Let's start with MicroStrategy. Start with that. So MicroStrategy will not be added into the S&P 500. So the S&P 500 is an index. Every mutual fund, everybody on the planet has to essentially own the S&P 500. So if your stock is in there, it's generally considered good because a lot of people have to buy your stock. So they're putting in Coinbase and Square and Robinhood, all which makes sense. But MicroStrategy is not included. Now, I did look it up. There is only one gold mining company in the S&P, so it's not as bad as you think. However, given his profile, the company will eventually become big enough and they will have to acquire some kind of Bitcoin mining company. So it's not just a hedge fund. But that's not the real reason why them being excluded is so bullish. They are afraid of what he says about Bitcoin. Because after all, Legacy is like, oh, well, you can buy all the Bitcoin you want as long as you do it through BlackRock. And as long as you don't spread the message around about how important Bitcoin is. This guy who's on the tape every day talking about Bitcoin sucking all the money out of the system. Yeah. We can't have him in the S&P. We'll come up with something. I understand that NASDAQ stopped these digital asset treasury companies from proliferating and becoming totally stupid. I don't know if they can or they can't. But all of a sudden, the market has admitted, legacy market, Ivan Drago has admitted that they can't have Bitcoin. They can't have crypto. They're scared of it. And it's as plain as day. Plain as day. Meanwhile, back at the economics ranch, on the same day that Ivan Drago gets cut, you get the real news about what's going on in the job market. And you know what? Honestly, it's new to the media. It might be new to anybody who doesn't look at this stuff for a living. There's been no job growth in this country for 2 years. At least 2 years. At least. Zero job growth. You get pushed off the wagon, meaning you lose your job, you're done. The underemployment rate is at 8%. That's horse dung. That's BS. It's way higher than that. Way higher. Unemployment rate for like young people 16 to 24, is that 10%? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's way higher than that. And even if they are employed, they're all underemployed. So you have to really ask yourself that if the Fed has a dual mandate, right? They have inflation and they have unemployment. What is it that they're going to do about this? What are they going to do? Well, they're going to cut rates. We have 5 coins for a rate cut strategy. The market is acting like those rate cuts are priced in. Here's what the market should be focusing on. The market should take a look at this and go, well, we don't really know where inflation is, but we know prices have not come down. That we know. And then you look at this employment situation, and it's a very simple thing. They're lying to us. Whoever they is, they're not telling us the truth. Like, we know what the reality is, but they don't. Now, in that case, what do? What changes the world? Is it a 50 basis point rate cut? Or is it just devaluing fiat currencies? Just going, you know what? We're not doing this. Sell. Mr. Market has to take care of it. Everybody's waiting for a government official to be like, you know what? I'm going to solve this problem. Yeah, I'm waiting for someone to moon my bags. Yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to cut rates. Okay, yeah, they got to cut rates. But as soon as they cut rates, they're essentially admitting a much, much bigger problem. They're saying the quiet part out loud. In other words, they're Ivan Drago with the cut on their face, waiting for Rocky Balboa to hit him 12 times in the body and to just absolutely go down on the carpet. And there's only one instrument in the world that can do that, and that's Bitcoin and all of its crypto friends. The whole ecosystem is just going to absolutely take them down. Big Rich with the $2 super chat for Tao, sir. I will definitely get to that because I'm about to tell you why Tao's going up, and it has nothing to do with the charts. I mean, we'll do the charts, and we'll do the unemployment number too. But this and Michael Saylor, them being afraid of Michael Saylor, like if I want you to watch the show, but we could actually leave early with this. So this gentleman starts an AI company. He's a musician, and it got bought for $1 billion. Okay. So, hey, Joe's AI company, Boom. 1 billion. You realize 1 billion, that's what Google paid for YouTube. Realize that, right? So let me ask you something about this 1 billion number. How many AI startup coins do we have? How many AI projects are there that are worth $1 billion? Not that many. Yet the value of just about any AI startup is $1 billion, especially if some big player wants it. So let me get this straight. Bitcoin cuts the system. They're afraid of Bitcoin. Gold is indiscriminately mooning, and we'll get to the crypto Twitter economics lab where they've completely forgotten about that. Completely. And then the value of AI, like this dinner last night, you know, kind of like Orange Man, Melania, sorted reptiles from Web 2. What is the value of that compared to crypto? And these morons today off the number. You know, it's almost like Ivan Drago gets cut after watching an hour and a half of montages and you walk out on the movie. You watch the montages and then you get 20 seconds of acting and then you don't watch the rest of the movie. You're just like, yeah, okay. I'm not interested anymore. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm selling crypto. It's all priced in. The system falling apart is priced in. And the system doesn't even have to fall apart. People just go, you know what? See you. Peace out. I'm done. I mean, you got a lunar eclipse coming up. Like a lunar eclipse creates volatility. Okay. So they're afraid of Michael Saylor. The job numbers, like the immediate analysis shows how bad things are. And then, of course, there'll be more analysis over the weekend and on Monday, where people really go through this and find out what's actually happening. You know, as, you know, all these people from overseas and all these people who come here, and there's all this like distracting social disorder. But the simple fact of the matter is the system for the people doesn't work. The only vehicle people have to save themselves is crypto. And that includes the corporations, which is why they're doing these treasury companies like they're going out of style. Is there greed involved? Of course there is. But I mean, who wouldn't want to get the currency, the ultimate currency, before the current currency just goes kaput? Kaput. So paying any price for assets. I mean, this headline right here, you should print it out and tape it on your wall. This was the beginning of altcoins. And you know what? There are other subtle headlines that point to the exact same thing. CZ is saying Bitcoin's going to 1 million. CZ is saying, you know, Bitcoin's going to be the strategic reserve currency. Dude, I think psychologically, Goldman said the same thing earlier today. Bitcoin is the ultimate debasement trade. That's legacy jargon for we just got cut. They just got cut. The invincible, you know, story, the nonsensical fantasy is ending. You know, 22,000 jobs added in August. The unemployment rate is going up. That doesn't even take into account the number of people who have dropped out of the labor force. Right? That's how bad it is. And everybody's blaming Powell. Are rates too high? Probably. But what's he going to do other than spin up the printer? Which is another thing you really have to consider, right? They're going to have to put high-powered money in the system. Now they have to do it. And if they don't do it, well, you know what? I still think the market can go ahead and do it anyway. Right? I mean, gold is telling you. So everybody had like, well, you know, it's Bitcoin versus M2. It's Bitcoin versus M2. What's really holding up is the relationship between Bitcoin and gold. Like gold is mooning and people say, oh, look, gold is mooning, but there's no connection to crypto. There's no buzz in crypto. People are acting like crypto is closed. I mean, yeah, I understand it's a frustrating market. But I mean, you have active evidence that they're paying any price for assets in AI, no matter how speculative, yet crypto, the ultimate speculative human and corporate freedom asset and sovereign freedom asset sits listless in front of a lunar eclipse. I mean, to me, it feels like the space shuttle with steam coming out the bottom, just sitting there with some NASA guy on a speaker in the 80s doing the countdown. You're just sitting there waiting for this thing to just launch. I don't see how it can be any other way. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me gold going up, fear of MicroStrategy, fear of Bitcoin treasury companies, and an economy that has got serious structural problems. In other words, some of this stuff is related to AI. Some of this stuff is related to efficiency. Some things, a lot of things go into a weak labor market, right? It's the growth in the labor market that's the problem. It's the growth. There isn't any. So how do you fix that? You have to create a wealth effect, right? You have to get something so people can hedge against a job loss. And I guarantee you, anybody with a job or any kid that's stuck in his basement is going to jump in the trenches and try a meme coin and try something. Because, I'm not in favor of people losing the rent and getting scammed because there's just way too much of that, obviously. Well, maybe it's not obviously, but I mean, there are influencers out there that are, talking about stuff that doesn't make sense, but that doesn't mean that people aren't going to want to get in the trenches. I got a DM from somebody, from a blue collar guy that I know, who's like, I just got into Bitcoin. I want to get in digital assets. What do I do? That's where the whole world is. I'm in, I'm here, I'm in. What do I do? Do you realize how much buying power is encompassed in that? And people are doing this sell the fact nonsense on an economic number, which is nothing more than the truth we already know about, which is connected to the other truth that we already know about, also known as the Bitcoin Standard, the Bitcoin White Paper. It's amazing, right? You've got all these maxis out there, yet you haven't heard one word from them. You're hearing us, well, I'm a whale, I'm selling. Really? Dude, this is everything you ever wanted, which is, of course, classic in a bull market, right? Oh, I'm bullish, but I'm selling. I'm bullish, but I'm hedged. I'm bullish, but I think it's going to 92 first. Don't you see? Don't you see? And Ivan Drago's cut, and they're like, oh, you're not paying attention. They're not paying attention, which is why the Patreon Platinum group just got, 5 coins right now, like 5 coins for the rate cuts. Boom. YouTube membership area is loaded. I've been doing it. I've been at it. We got I think I put five pieces in the YouTube member area in 7 days. The buy and the sell list, the podcast, right? 10x altcoins, 2017 versus 2025. Crickets. Top altcoins from September, crickets, right? I got Toby picking small coins live at the pool. Like, what do I got to do? Trust me. Stuff's going to be made of legend. Patreon Platinum has just got, they have tactical timing for the lunar eclipse. There's supposed to be a dip on the lunar eclipse. You know what? You want to hear something insane? I think this sell-off off this number where they took it down off the highs, I actually think that might have been the dip. Maybe I'm nuts. Maybe I'm crazy. That was the dip. I even got an article here kind of like celebrating almost this company that did a 51% attack on Monero. It's like 51% attack on Monero company releases an AI model. Doesn't work, but it's almost like, it's like, oh yeah, let's celebrate the devil who doesn't want you to have privacy. Really? It's like a positive article. So I guess we're not doing privacy. They're like running in fear of us all. Cartoon series about McAfee's life comes out, sort of make that more relatable. The Declaration of Cryptocurrency Independence. I used antivirus to buy a gift card the other day. And I also got an article here while I'm just way up on the soapbox. I'm double soapbox stacked today, people. You realize that there's a politician in England is saying that if Americans go over to the UK, that they can get arrested for whatever they got going on social media. They'll just take you to jail, man. It's like taking a visit to East Germany in the 60s. You don't know what I'm talking about, and that's fine. You don't want to. Antivirus has a private SIM card service. So if you want to go on social media or Telegram or whatever and not have anybody see who you are, they have the functionality for this, along with McAfee's story, along with Janice on various podcasts. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And the antivirus story is classic because it's worth $3 million market cap. The McAfee story and legacy. I own the coin. You know I like it. But don't you understand that the price of that versus the price of, I don't know, a guy at a barbershop does an AI coin and somebody writes him a check for $1 billion, right? It's indiscriminate. I mean, and that makes sense why the Orange Man had the reptile dinner the other night. The reptiles are, they're going to spend, they're going to spend collectively, they're going to borrow $1 trillion. It could be more to build Skynet. And is Skynet your friend? Is the job market your friend? Did you get what you voted for? And we're selling Bitcoin today. We're selling. Oh, that's nice. It's like, then there's this like world liberty fiasco. So, okay. So they come out with a hedge fund. Things in technical analysis happen in threes. So they did Trump, Melania, then they did World Liberty. I don't know. I thought World Liberty was a hedge fund, but I don't know anything about the token. And the next minute they're doing a publicity stunt. They're blocking addresses. And I'm like, is it me or is the bad news getting more sort of like contact, traction than what should really be happening here? Because to me, what's really should be happening here is obvious. Now, naturally, you don't do that the day of the number because algos just trade, they trade the news, they trade the headline, then there's resistance at 113, and it's all boring. So the media gravitates to the bad news. Meanwhile, the Bitcoin standard is unfolding right in front of their eyes. And the more this awful 1984 thing digs in all these countries like England, the worse their fiscal situation is. Like, what are those people going to do? I know what they're going to do. They're going to pick up their phone and they're going to hit the green button. Did you know crypto was tax-free in Germany? I didn't know that. You can bet the Germans are going to figure that out real quick if they haven't already. And there are all these stories about guys taking ETH and just putting it away. Like every day, like big company buys ETH, sticks it away. ICO whale wakes up, stakes their ETH. The supply of ETH is completely coming off the market. It's coming off the market. And this whole idea of rate cuts makes the staking yield on ETH even more important. Rates come down, but that staking yield manages to stay stable. It makes the staking yield even more attractive. So more supply gets locked up. Who is the seller in any of these cryptos? Who's the seller? The digital asset treasury companies, they're going to be after Solana next. They're going to be after Solana. And I wouldn't doubt if the crypto projects if publicly traded equities can't necessarily print stock to buy crypto, then the crypto projects are going to do it. They're going to form crypto projects that are essentially hedge funds. And the little digital hedge funds like Numeraire, I mean, that's different, but they're just going to start proliferating. Right? It's like demand is going to beget more demand. It's at this point, the Soros word is reflexivity. At some point, the higher it goes, the higher it'll go. It just hasn't started today. And then for whatever reason, with Ivan Drago standing there with his glove over his face, cut, no one's paying attention, which is fine. It's great for Patreon users, great for YouTube members. Great. Terrific. You know, Toby's going to look at everybody tomorrow and go, yeah, y'all were bearish 2 days ago. What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? Right? In a nice way, of course. And it's, you know, it's a much different form of analysis. Somebody says Bitcoin bear market due in October with 50K bottom target. Really? Okay. You know, in other words, what triggers that? You know, massive accounting problems at NVIDIA. We already know that. I mean, that's to me, that's almost old news. The new news is they're finally telling the truth because they got cut. They're finally telling the truth about what's going on with the economy and what their intentions are. I mean, I've got some publicity stunt email here that like this guy, James Wynn, has had his bank account frozen. Again, could be a publicity stunt, could actually be happening. You never know. These guys mean business. They're not playing around. And you know what? Neither should you, right? Especially with gold at 3,500. Like, let me ask you something. A lot of people are talking about 200K Bitcoin, or at least they do when the market goes up. Why is nobody talking about gold going parabolic and going to 5,000? No one is talking about that. I mean, could you believe what that would mean for crypto if that actually happened? If this like creeping bid all of a sudden went parabolic? I mean, it would be literally breathtaking. More valuation news. Eagle King sends me something that there's a new coin called Cards. So take your Pokemon cards, stake them, get a loan against them, tokenize them. $500 million market cap. So crypto's starting to get it, right? Starting to get it. So Pokemon cards are what pass for real world assets. I got a bunch of guys working on a real world asset project that's going to make the earth crack open. That's how big it's going to be. But you got $500 million valuation for Pokemon cards. Great. Terrific. Wow. We're starting to get with the program. We're in crypto. We're doing remedial. We're doing remedial valuations. Great. We'll start with $500 million for Pokemon. We only got $500 million to go to get to the value of Joe Barbershop's AI startup company. It's unbelievable. Like everything in Patreon, all of these reports are finding these low and mid caps. They're all sub 150 million. A lot of them are sub 100 million. And there's no interest. See, that's what's really unbelievable. It's not that they're cheap. I think the reason that they're cheap is because there's just no interest whatsoever. Which, again, how fast can that be rectified? So we've identified the problem. What's the solution? And how fast can the solution be upon you? Well, anyone who knows the history of crypto and anybody who knows the history of eclipses knows that this thing could just explode. Like, you may get a dip in the middle of the month, but from what level? From what level? Because clearly they've just stated today that they absolutely do not believe what is going on. They don't believe it. Like, we can just go through some like 90-minute charts, right? Can't do this on the morning stream, but we can do it now. So, Bitcoin, 90-minute chart, get a nice little uptrend from 107 to 113, gets a little emotional right before the number, and then boom, they slam it. Wow. Like we're getting out at 113. Okay. Okay. So if they continue to hit it and it doesn't go down off this eclipse, what's it going to do? Especially when you think about what has to happen, regardless of what the Fed does. The Fed cuts rates 25 basis points. They're admitting that they have a catastrophic problem. That's why they don't want to do it. I thought these things in the back of my mind, but that's why he's been resisting the orange man for so long. Because the second he admits that there's a problem, people are going to realize exactly how big the problem is. The problem isn't just rates are too high. The problem is you have structural difficulties that can only be solved by devaluing the currency. All currencies. All currencies. All paper currencies. Again, that's what gold's telling you. Don't believe me. Okay, ETH, again, doing what ETH does, traveling in a square range. 90-minute chart, the bigger the base, the higher into space. It's very simple. This is not complicated at all. At all. And then if you look at XRP, once again, on a 90-minute chart, has put everyone to sleep. The bigger the base, the higher into space at a tactical level. They're going to sell this? Okay. It's still like the first leg up, the second leg down. Then there's another leg up, and then they chop you to pieces. In Patreon Platinum, I mean, it's like I've been giving it away for 2 days. We had like 111 to 109 is the buy zone in Bitcoin. We had like 4,200 for ETH. And then we had, 279, 285 in XRP. I can wait. We waited all year. Now that we've had the third orange man all the way up, all the way down coin, right? All the way up, all the way down, whatever that was with World Liberty. Now maybe we can get back to business. Because, when I saw what I would call the lead anti-human reptile sitting next to Melania, I'm like, I don't know. I don't have enough Bitcoin. I don't have enough Bitcoin, particularly when that shot comes out on a day where, Bobby is out testifying and just absolutely knocking them out. Are any of these characters working for us? Honestly. And we have the bigger the base, the higher in the space. Solana versus Ethereum. So you got a 13 bottom on a tactical chart, which means Solana can start outperforming Ethereum at any time. And then on Solana, this is Solana versus Ethereum. Obviously, Ethereum doubled. So Solana hasn't done anything. So what happens when Solana does do something? This looks like Ethereum at the bottom, but it's Solana versus Ethereum. Gee, you think you got some catching up to do in Solana? You think the altcoin ecosystem can start moving again? It's unbelievable. Big Rich wanted to do TAO. I didn't forget. I mean, TAO goes up in July. They spend the next 2 months unwinding that, leaving you sitting here wondering why you did it to begin with, but it's sitting right on DeMark support. And again, right, this thing was at 750 at the start of the year. They left it by the side of the road at 150, and now it just quietly sits here in a square range, waiting to move materially higher. Like, Toby will tell you tomorrow morning what she thinks of the fourth quarter. But I mean, if you start looking at market caps of projects 2 billion or less, Algorand at 2 billion, SEI 1.7 billion. They paid 1 billion for a random startup to build Skynet. Jupiter 1.5 billion. Artificial intelligence token. Ben Gertzel, like 4 projects together. $1.4 billion. Optimism, Injective, Celestia, QNT, Stacks, $1.1 billion for a Bitcoin layer 2. And there are other projects, the cross-chain projects are in the Patreon document. I swear to God. The Patreon document, the thing I did today, sometimes I say this, but not always. The 5 coins, the 5 rate cut coins, when I looked at this, I'm like, this is worth the entire month subscription right here. Sonic, Phantom, DeFi, 800 million. 800 million for a fast layer 1. Radium, 800 million. You follow what I'm saying? I mean, look, don't laugh. SPX 6900 is at $1 billion. That used to be a lot for a meme coin, but not if it gets 16 to 24-year-olds out of their basement. These coins that are dead, it's very hard to sort out like which meme coins are going to be worth it or not. But at some point, all this speculative stuff wakes up. All this tech, all this finance, all this stuff wakes up. PEPE, which the GAN model liked, is still at 800 million. It's number 87 market cap. It's like one of the top 5 coins coming out of the GAN model. Everyone's like, it's like the market is like dead. It's dead, and we got reptiles eating at the White House. We got absolutely no job growth. We got kids sitting home. The only way out of this is to start a whole new tech revolution and change the value of fiat currencies so that there can be an adjustment, right? What I'm saying is you don't make the adjustment. The market does. The market makes the adjustment. And everyone thinks that this cannot happen. Like I'm kind of changing my tune a little bit on Aero. I think this was like, buy the dip later kind of a thing. And the market is, LuxAlgo is putting up resistance here. I mean, this is wrong with Bitcoin. These pink lines, right? Bitcoin keeps running into this GAN line. It can't get back above it. It's running into resistance. Aero's got the same problem. You know what? If I can read Big Rich's mind, who cares? Who cares? Right? I mean, you have XRP sitting on equilibrium. You got a lot of other YouTubers going, well, it's a big, gigantic triangle and XRP is going to break out. Dude, XRP is in a state of balance. I would almost call that slumber. Slumber. It's like we're absolutely asleep. Somebody said your Bass Herd's Keeta is at 380 million. I mean, we put a layer 1 in the reports. I probably already talked about it. It's 41 million, and Keeta is up 12% today. This is it on Kraken. It's up a lot, KTA, but really on an 89-minute chart, can you even tell anything is happening? Can you tell? I mean, the market, they want to give Elon Musk a $1 trillion pay package. Has anyone asked themselves why that is? Well, because you're going to have robots walking around. You're going to have robots walking around everywhere. Next year, you put Grok AI inside of a robot operating system, just like they're going to put McAfee AI inside of a robot when they're done building all the privacy tools, which they're still actively at. You're going to have McAfee walking around next year. You're going to have robots walking around. So it's like, all right, let's pay this guy $1 trillion. So a CEO is worth $1 trillion. That number makes sense. Anybody who can fog up a mirror and has a good idea in AI is worth $1 billion. Yet everything in crypto sits absolutely still. ETH DeFi, a lot of stuff went all the way up, all the way down. Like, you want to know what the runner-up coin? I'll give you this much, right? So I said, all right, GAN model, give me the top 5 coins for the rate cut. Give me the one that you like the most, and then give me what I would call honorable mention. Like the runner-up that didn't make the top 5. Pretty simple. Elegant. Not complicated. Aave. Extremely clear head and shoulders bottom, if you ask me. And we're just hanging around here at the neckline, right? Right on top of a LuxAlgo trend line. Trade's terrible. No one wants it. Excellent. Everyone's always talking about setups. Yeah, the setup is everyone hates it. The upside target is 530, and it currently trades at 302 like a Dairy Queen cup that's been thrown out of a window on a Texas highway that's been run over by a semi. Everyone's like, I don't want it. I don't want it. Well, what happens when they want everything all at once? I mean, people, listen. Based on what that Gann model spit out, you have the possibility of tech and finance all mooning at the same time. No, as everyone just goes like, the talk on all the political shows is like, well, everything is for Silicon Valley and Wall Street. Everything is for Silicon Valley and Wall Street, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Well, if everything is for Silicon Valley and Wall Street, what are you going to do about it? Like, what's the answer to the reptile dinner? There's only one answer. There's only one answer, especially after World Liberty dumped, right? You just say, you know what? Whatever you guys are doing, we're going to go do this instead. And we're not only going to go do this, but we're going to do it with like eclipse gusto, right? In other words, you get volatility around this, and I'm looking at this story, and I don't know how many people are talking about it on YouTube. You know what? Honestly, my guess is 1. And I'm looking at their thumbnails, and hopefully they're looking at my show. Because when this gets out, and this is going to get out, like you're going to have Saylor on the tape, you're going to have Tom Lee on the tape, you're going to have influencers who are going to have their own ideas. This is crazy banana pants. I mean, if you have Synthetix, which is, again, old school DeFi, I mean, is this the bigger the base, the higher in the space, or am I stupid? And you got these like triangles down here. I mean, where's Synthetix going? Like, what? It's at 67 cents. It probably should be at $10 because we need an alternative now, right? Now, across every single sector, not just one sector, right? The youth unemployment thing is memes. The rate cuts is finance. The valuation story is in tech because, again, they're going to pay any price to win the race. Like if you look at all the reptiles are all looking at each other knowing that there's only going to be one reptile that wins in the end. There's only going to be one big dog. I mean, if you watch any nature show, right, what does the alpha creature get? All the food and all the mating privileges. Now, of course, with these guys, it's a little bit different, but it isn't. And this whole ecosystem, right? Like, Robinhood is mooning. Robinhood is a portal for all these unemployed kids to get to the market. It is. And if they sell MicroStrategy on Monday, they're eventually going to figure out that nobody can ever replicate what this guy has done. Nobody. And that they're afraid of it. Now, that may not be the first trade that they do. But it's going to be the second trade, especially if Bitcoin makes a new high. Okay? Really. It's like, I cannot underscore, like, it's so funny. Like, our Arkham has something that they come out with. Fidelity sold ETH, Grayscale sold ETH, Van X sold ETH, but BlackRock bought 150 million. I mean, this thing with ETH has been under-discussed. And people are forgetting that ETH is the ultimate altcoin. Like, they got all this stuff. ETH doesn't go down. How is ETH going down when gold goes up? I mean, I said all year, and I know everybody got tired of listening to it, and I probably lost credibility. ETH goes up when the dollar goes down and precious metals go up. So ETH just managed to catch itself back up. Now what's going to happen when gold goes through 4,000? because that's next. I mean, gold's probably overbought now, but is it not eventual? That when you take a look at what's going on in all these foreign bond markets, like how does that not translate over into crypto, right? How does that not translate over into crypto? It can't. And again, the Eagle King is sending me, I think I'm getting his drift that people are joining because they want to watch these 12-minute videos. I put 12-minute videos. The Eagle King's only been trying to get me to do 12-minute videos for like 2 years. So I finally figured it out thanks to the GAN model. So we have unique content here and in Patreon. Patreon has reports. These have videos. So, I mean, our people are so ready to go because, I was like, okay, it's the eclipse. Okay, you're going to have volatility. But then all of a sudden, it's like we have billion-dollar startups. We have reptile dinners. We have this unemployment situation. Oh, my God. I mean, I know for an absolute fact, personally, if it happens to you, man, and unless you got like some kind of major on-demand, in-demand skill set, and these days, I don't even know what that is. If you have an in-demand skill set, maybe welding, because they got to build data centers, right? Unless you can build stuff, if you're a white-collar employee, you have to understand crypto. And even the blue-collar guys are like, hey, we got to get involved. In other words, continuing on this reptile insect thing, people's spider sense is tingling. And you know what? I got to be honest. If a guy like Dalio finally got his message through with a softer sell, he goes, you know what? Nobody wants to talk about what's happening here. And that's how you know it's really bad. Because nobody even wants to talk about it. And guess what? Toby will tell you tomorrow. You should really hear it from her in addition to getting the small cap picks, because you really should hear about her attitude about small cap picks. She's just like, you know what? It doesn't have to be a meltdown. Legacy doesn't have to melt down. People can just go, you know what? I'm going to go do something else. You know what I'm saying? Your bass hurts. I've been there. I got laid off after I got married. It was awful. I get it. That's why we're here for you, right? That's why we're here for you. This is like what we are here for. By the way, YouTube members, Tyler Hall from the Antivirus Universe, welcome. Gian, Big Rich, hammering away with those special emojis. Tooth wants to know, when are we safe to enter longs? Dude, look, I can't give you investment advice, but I said to the GAN model this morning, what do you want to do now? Like right now. Now. Like, okay, there's going to be a dip later, maybe. Okay, eclipse volatility, fine. But the GAN model says what you want to be doing after the solar eclipse. Again, you got to read the report. When is it safe? When it doesn't feel like it's safe. When is it safe? When something that's bullish comes out, they take it all the way up and all the way back down, but they can't take it red. Right? They can't like completely crush it. They sold it. Why did they sell it? So they could buy it. So they could buy it. I mean, it's as simple as that. You're getting Bitcoin today unchanged on the day. So we're 4 minutes away from the close, and Bitcoin, for all intents and purposes, along with ETH and everything else, is unchanged. I mean, to me, it's a bigger show than if Bitcoin had gone and taken off to 117. I probably would have gotten a lot more viewers, but it's a lot more value for the research, the free research, the podcast tomorrow, the videos, the reports in Patreon. I mean, it's there, people. I mean, you think about all the altcoins there are in the universe. Think about all that we're giving you in terms of reports and videos. I mean, we're generating as much content about altcoins as was generated at a company with highly reputable analysts run by a super duper altcoin professional. There was a quant department. There was a research department. I mean, we are cranking out with this model and Toby. We are cranking out as much research as they did. As much research as they did. And what's interesting is, I mean, they had the unique ability to look at projects before they came out, but these projects are actually tradable. And I mean, name a project that you don't want to trade. Like, this is not complicated. Chainlink, unchanged on the day. Polkadot, interoperability, cross-chain is everywhere. We don't need a new system? Oh, okay. Okay. AKT, DPIN, Arweave, right? HBAR, Wendy O, right? I just go down the list, right? Near, Tia, Pyth, you know, we had somebody, we had a report come out on Pyth with Pyth as a top pick. And somebody whose YouTube handle, love this person, is Guess Who Chicken Boo bought Pyth and made money. If Guess Who Chicken Boo is out there making money, you better get your butt out there and make money too. Because Guess Who Chicken Boo and all these YouTube members are going to eat everyone's lunch. Because when this thing goes, it won't stop. Because it never went. Everyone's like, the cycle. What cycle? We had 2 blips. We had 2 pumps and 2 dumps. There hasn't been a trend. There hasn't been a trend. And I really, really hope that World Liberty, again, things happen in threes, that we're done with that now. Kanye's coin is out. That I don't know. We don't, it's like we're almost tapped out on stupid stuff. We're tapped out. You know, Bitcoin down in support at like anywhere between here and 108. Remember all that talk about Sui going to $5? Sui's at 369 and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And I mean, these treasury companies, like, you know, just pulling up kind of like random ones like Bitfarms, you know, they had these like LuxAlgo accumulation formations down here. You know, these things went straight down. They were probably overvalued, and they could turn around and just do this. Premium zone in some of these like treasury stocks is like, you know, massively above where it is right now. And we're not going to do this. Like, you know, most of the meme coins today, most of the big ones, like Bonk sitting on supply. No one wants to take a shot at this, huh? Nobody? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody? No one wants to take a shot because everyone's bored out of their mind, which is, you know, that's completely justified. Cup and handle broke in Pepe. Boy, they made this market difficult. It's like, you know, look at this chop. Up, back down, up, back down, up, back down, up, back down. It's impossible to be long this market, by the way. It's just impossible, which is why you should be, right? The money isn't made in the buying and the selling. The money is made in the waiting. And Ivan Drago's got a big cut over his eye. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know if that made sense or resonated with anybody. Maybe I'm just some old guy talking, you know, about stuff that, I don't know, other people can't see. But I actually can't believe that people cannot see this. Because when you look at these numbers, when you look at the fact that they haven't been telling the truth, once they admit the problem, like we know it's a problem, they know it's a problem, and then Powell is going to be forced to admit there's a problem. That's the whole miracle of rate cuts for crypto. It's not that rates being at any certain level moons crypto. It's that the guy has to step up to the podium and admit that there's a problem. That's why they did all the cutting under Bowden, right? They did all the cutting under Biden because they could say, all right, let's like try to get rates normalized and then sit here and pretend like everything is okay when it's not. And there's only one solution. It's only one solution. It's not coming from a sovereign. It's not coming from Congress. It's not coming from Bessent. It's not coming from Powell. It has to come from Mr. Market. And if it comes from Mr. Market, frankly, that is thunder and lightning, as in Old Testament, the power of God kind of thing. And there's only one market that can pull that off, and that would be the cryptocurrency market. I mean, that is it. Guess who Chicken Boot checks in? Welcome. Side Hill Forging. Okay, Mark is long Tau. Seth wants in. Mark says McAfee will never fade away. Never fade away. They got a cartoon movie. Those, you know, they're gonna press that. They're never gonna stop pressing that. Janice McAfee had to defend herself. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the range. I'm gonna get down range. Yeah. Janice McAfee was downrange for real. Like she was downrange. You can Google that to find out what that means. These people are going to bat for privacy, and there are also people like Michael Saylor who are actually going to bat for you against all the things that are out there. Like basically what Michael Saylor does is he's got like, you know, he's got his own little Michael Saylor art model, and he makes pictures of himself every day and posts how it's great for Bitcoin. I don't think Michael Saylor could get on the tape and say these things. I think MicroStrategy is not in the S&P 500 because of what he said to Jordan Peterson about Bitcoin essentially sucking a lot of investment capital out of the legacy system. I think as soon as he said the quiet part out loud, that scared everybody. And if it didn't, I'll just repeat it until people hear it. Because after all, you know, I am one of the micro channels of the year. Thanks to the Eagle King and Toby and people like you who watch the show. So you are going to keep the green button close to where you can get to it, because I have a feeling as soon as if your market starts to glide on Saturday, that could become thunder on Sunday or Monday morning. Bitcoin is not just for BlackRock. Bitcoin is for you. And I don't mean to sound like a Bitcoin maximalist, but whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's Ethereum or Solana, one of these big cryptos is going to take off and his whole market's going to go with it. Because again, it's so mispriced relative to what's going on in the rest of the world. And I may have said that. Did I mention crypto is mispriced versus what's going on in the rest of the world? That is the market update for today. We will see you next week.